Hi, good day. Welcome again to another session here at Explore ProTech YouTube channel. We welcome you. It's your finance doctor, Dr. Meiya here at Money Magnet. If you are new to the channel, welcome. Please subscribe to the channel and activate your notifications so that each time there's a new video, new conversation from myself and any of the colleagues, you are able to come and learn and grow your business as you're saving one business, you're saving the economy one business at a time. And comment on this video, like this video. If you want to be in touch with me, please below this video, you'll find the links where you can find me. So today I want us to talk about the 5 critical steps to scaling your business. Now, scaling the business doesn't come cheap. And maybe to assist each other, let's just go back to the simple and known life cycle of the business entity. And we know that many startups, or at the startup level, it's really what is driving the startup is the energy, is the passion to start this thing that we've been wanting to birth within you. And then we move to the next phase of growth, and sometimes accelerated growth, or this is where you're scaling. Now, when you get into scaling, you need technique and you need strategy and you need resources. And then you've got the maturing of your business where you need to consider consolidation or any other thing. And finally, if it follows this, is the decline either of the industry or the business, or arguably that you could be asking yourself, what is your exit strategy? Either you're going to sell off the entity or it's going to become a conglomerate, whatever the case may be. But really today, what I want us to talk about is this scaling phase or the growth phase of the business. Now, what I want us to focus on about scaling is that we need to ensure that as we grow our entities, firstly, I want us to look at what are the 5 things that we need to pay special attention to when we're in the scaling or growing or in this accelerated growth, and sometimes from one-man business or solopreneur to a conglomerate, because you can really be a conglomerate. How do you move from being studying in your garage, as it's arguably known, to move into an equivalent of a Silicon Valley or whatever the case may be? So I really want us to focus on the 5 key strategies or steps that you need to focus on that are both costly, if not well thought of, when we're entering this scaling phase of our business. So the first thing is it's very critical that we evaluate and we plan for readiness. What we mean by that, make sure that the entity, its operations, and its financial sustainability is ready to scale, and then evaluate the environment and evaluate which is the ecosystem around the entity, and evaluate the processes and the systems that are keeping the entity in operation. So it's very important that we evaluate and plan for that readiness. And the second thing, scaling is costly. Scaling doesn't come for free. So you need to find capital, or there need to be sources of capital that you have in mind when preparing for scaling an entity. And we've spoken sometime in the past about different types of capital. And this might also be very critical when you're doing the evaluation and planning for readiness. Also look at the mixture of the capital that will be needed when you move to scaling. Look at the optimal amount between different forms of capital and how you're going to access this capital to prepare for scaling. And maybe one needs to also add that as you're finding capital, do also be mentally ready that you might have to forgo some element of ownership in the entity. And again, it's dependent on the form of capital or the mix of capital that you will be scaling or you intending to scale. Third, and very important too, it's secure sales. Well, it probably goes without saying that you cannot scale if you don't have sales. But you might as well grow the entity, but it's not backed by the number of sales. So it's very important that as we grow the operations of the entity, we match that operations of the entity with revenue, with sales, with contracts. And maybe we also want to look at the form of contracting that you want to have, from long term to medium to short term. So if you're expanding your entities and is not backed by long term, so to speak, contracts, there's something you might want to evaluate and relook at your business model there. And again, this is dependent on the industry or the kind of operations that you have in. For an example, if you're driving a subscription-based model, you want to have a longer subscription activity as you grow into back these contracts that you want to back the growth of the entity. And number 4, that it's also having direct impact on finances as technology. As you scale, especially in the 21st century, you need to invest in technology, both generic technology from the administrative agility and automation and other things, so that you can free your hands from the things that technology should be handling, to industry-specific technology. The last thing you want to be is to scale in your entity, scale in the industry where your peers have invested in industry-specific technology that is making them to tick. And you're not backing or scaling with the similar industry-specific technology. And again, you can already start realizing that as you're scaling, there are costs that needs to go along with scaling, and technology is one of them. But again, I mean, technology, you've got a lot of technology that it's cost-effective, it's affordable. So shop around, look for technology that's going to support your scaling. And finally, you got to find staff and strategically outsource the operations or part of the operations that can be outsourced. We've mentioned, when we mentioned number 2, that when you're finding capital, while there might be a potential or possible dilution from the shareholding of the entity, you need to also realize that there also needs to be a certain of delegation of responsibilities as you're finding more staff and you start giving other things away to be done by the experts in the industry. So scaling is good, growing the entity is good, making sure that the growth is sustainable, and sometimes this accelerated growth is sustainable. So it's very important to pay special attention to these 5 key steps when you're considering scaling. It is your finance doctor. I hope you find these steps critical to be part of your thought process as you move from startup to scaling your entity. And thanks for watching. Until we meet next time, goodbye.